Welcome. As promised, I said we will discuss this and we will discuss it. For those who don't know who I am Carcino from the channel Carcino for Life. And what's up, John? I see you. Whenever I see you, it's a good sign. That means some notifications are going out. There's Smashball. I see Jerry here. Michelle's daughter. Okay. Notifications are going out. What's up, Jerry? Drew Gully. You here to learn the truth. They've lied to you for so long. These two men are the reason the Chicago Bulls have 6 NBA championships. That's why they're sitting in this chair right now talking about their great accomplishment. Rest in peace, David Stern. There's one other person missing from this picture. Rod Thorne, who was the vice president of basketball operations for the league. In 1990, Dick Umbersol outbidded CBS. He was the president of sports for NBC, took the job so that he could purchase the National Basketball Association television rights. Because these are all facts that you guys have never been told. I've told you, but you probably didn't hear it. These are all factual things that has happened. This is not fan theory. Okay? These are the facts. The Detroit Pistons versus the Portland Trail Blazers. During the NBA Finals, the NBA was still in negotiation with CBS. It was 1990. The finals was getting ready to appear. And CBS thought they had a deal that was agreeable with the NBA. Dick Umbersol, who was watching the Eastern Conference Finals with Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls and the Detroit Pistons. And he thought, oh my God, this is amazing. What we need to do right here, because I don't understand why this hasn't been done before. We need to harness what's happening here and move forward. Hold on. Now, the NBA has been a soap opera. We're going to get to things you know nothing about. During this negotiation, CBS had a deal on the table for over $500 million for the NBA. $500 million broadcast deal for the NBA. It was like 530 something million. Dick Ebersol comes back with an offer that blows CBS off the table. They offer $600 million. CBS says that's too expensive. We're not going to pay $600 million. Dick Ebersol's an idiot. Dick Ebersol, in case you don't know him, is an Emmy award-winning producer. He's good for making stories and producing them and winning Emmys for his work. And you saw the NBA Eastern Conference Finals with the Detroit Pistons and the Chicago Bulls as a theater, and he's watching it play out live, with Michael Jordan being the hero and the Detroit Pistons being the villain. And he said, I can use this. So he paid $600 million for the NBA's television rights. And what he did was make the most iconic noise that we've heard today. The best intro ever to the NBA was that NBA on NBC. When you hear that, Dick Ebersol instilled it in your minds. Every weekend, the Chicago Bulls was going to play. They had the Inside Jam. What was that? The first sports show, really? Everyone, what was that? Inside Stuff or something like that? With Ahmad Rashad on NBC. Yep, Inside Stuff with Willow Bay. Now, the Chicago Bulls hadn't won anything. The champions were the Detroit Pistons, the back-to-back world champion Detroit Pistons. Dick Ebersol sat with David Stern and with Rod Thorne, and who was the vice president of the NBA, and this is the actual conversation they had. It's not fan theory. He talked to David Stern and said, what are we going to do to get Michael Jordan in the NBA Finals against Magic Johnson? Michael and Magic, that's what people want to see. Magic's almost out the NBA. It is a travesty that Michael Jordan hasn't played Magic Johnson in an NBA championship finals. How are we going to make that a reality? David Stern says, well, we're looking into a lot of different ways to making that possible. They've gotten better. The Detroit Pistons are getting older. Dick Ebersol said, I did not spend $600 million for the Detroit Pistons. I spent $600 million for Michael Jordan. He is your protagonist. Everyone else are antagonists. Everyone else. He said, David, don't you get it? This is theater. He said, well, what about Magic? Magic's an anti-hero. He's the old veteran hero that's going to pass the torch to Michael. And they loved it. How are they going to make this a reality? Well, let's go to the rules committee. How can we come up with rules that could help? He said, what we're going to do, change the rules again? Yes. They made 2 key rule changes. First, new rule change, there will be a new thing called the flagrant foul, which means that you get to shoot free throws and you keep possession of the ball. The introduction of the flagrant foul introduced the reign of the Chicago Bulls. Then there was another rule change that was fought by Isiah Thomas and Kevin McHale, who's in the rule committee. In case you guys don't know, Isiah Lord Thomas III was the NBA's president of the Players Union, voted unanimously every year he was in the office. Michael Jordan was allowed to push off, use his free hand, and push opponents off. Hand checking was still around at the time. We'll get there. They allowed Michael Jordan to use his hand and push off in case he was double teamed. So the shot that you saw when he hit, that's why players today can use their free arm and push off. They changed this rule during the Jordan era. They did it to help Michael Jordan. So with this rule change, the Detroit Pistons were still better than the Chicago Bulls. They beat the Bulls by 20 plus points the first time they played. They were not worried because they had the playoffs. David Stern carried the Detroit Pistons, who were not better than the Bulls. The Bulls were where they wanted them to be in 1991. The Lakers, they were okay, but not great at all. They weren't a great team. They're not an NBA Finals team. They got work to do there. Portland has emerged. The Portland Trail Blazers are the best team in the West. The Bulls are the best team in the East. They're on course to play each other. The Lakers were winning, but their time had come. They were done. Now, if you're looking at the Bulls, they're winning, they're playing good. The playoffs start. They're going through the playoffs with ease. They get to the Eastern Conference Finals. They play against the Detroit Pistons, and it was like an execution. It was like sending a lamb out to slaughter. The Pistons came out the very first game and actually took the Bulls' onslaught early, came back and took the lead. The referees turned the game around and gave it back to the Bulls. Normally where the Pistons would implode, they came back resiliently and won. The Pistons would come back and beat the Bulls. That was the normal thing. This time, it didn't happen. The Bulls came back and won. The Bulls would not be allowed back in the game again. Okay? They knocked the Chicago Bulls off of their throne, or whatever you want to call it. The Bulls would not even get close to losing a game. They sent a message in game 3 when the Pistons were up big and they're looking like they're finna make a run. The referees called like 5 to 6 straight fouls on the Detroit Pistons to send them a message that this is how it's going to end. You are not winning. This is how you go down. We don't want this thing going further. We're not milking this for games. We want the Detroit Pistons out. Now, Dick Ebersol wanted this to happen this way. That's why he carried the Pistons and wanted the Pistons to play against Michael and the Bulls. This is what made him buy the NBA. Michael had to get by Detroit. No other team could beat Detroit. It had to be Michael and the Bulls. So he pushed the Pistons, as injured as they were, as beat up as they were, to serve them to Michael and the Bulls. So when Michael and the Bulls won, and all the nonsense that happened after the fact, that didn't matter. They got what they wanted. But they didn't shake hands. That pissed off Dick Ebersol to no end. And this happened to be the same week they're voting on the team for the Olympics, for the Dream Team. They're voting. All of this was going down. This is why Dick Ebersol bought the team. They were going to put pro athletes in the Olympics. They're going to put it on NBC. They were ready to roll. And Isiah got blacklisted by Rod Thorne, who's the vice president of operations, because it pissed Dick off. Because Dick he's an Emmy award-winning producer. It's got to be a climactic end to the story. This has got to set up a passing of the torch. The Pistons are vanquished, and they shake the hands of Michael and the Bulls. He didn't get that ending. So he didn't get the finish or climax. And because he didn't get to do that, he was pissed. This is not an ending. What is this? This is ridiculous. They just walked off the court because he'd never seen when Boston did it. Dick Ebersol doesn't care about basketball. He cares about story. So now he is upset. Isiah's the president of the Players Union, and he does this. He should be removed. He was livid. He didn't want him on the Dream Team. Rod Thorne made the decision he wouldn't be on that Dream Team. David Stern was like, I think we're going a little too far. Isiah's a good guy. It's just a bad moment. Let's let cooler heads prevail. David Stern was trying to keep the foundation in. Dick Ebersol has no relationship with Isiah Thomas. He could care less. Dick Ebersol only cares about the show, the program, the theater. That's all he cared about. So he's not part of his equation. He can go. Michael is about Michael and whatever Michael wants. Michael said he wasn't even playing in the Dream Team. He was like, I'm going to be so burnt out. We're going deep into June, and then you want me to play on an Olympic team? That's just too much. He's thinking we're going back to the finals or the playoffs, and then right after that, I got to go to the Olympics. That's just too much. So they knew we can't go into this thing without Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan has to be on the Dream Team. So they made sure that Isiah wasn't going to be there. Had nothing to really do with Michael or Magic or anybody else. Care less. The decision was made by Dick Ebersol and Rod Thorne. Those two kept Isiah Thomas off the Dream Team. What's up, Lance? Okay. Magic came up with all this nonsense. Man, it was me. That's just Magic being stupid. Magic had nothing to do with it. He just is Irvin Johnson, and then there's Magic. And Magic just says things sometimes just to be like active, and he had nothing to do with that. Nobody was moving. He was out the league. Nobody cared about what Magic. Magic wants to look like he still had that power and control. He wasn't even. He had the doggone virus. Nobody even thinking about him. It was like, could he even play? Like, is this a good idea to let him play? Because he's got the virus. So nobody thinking about what Magic had to say about anything. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Now, let's move further to see the real corruption of what happened between the Chicago Bulls and the Detroit Pistons. Everyone's focused on the Eastern Conference and seeing that. That's not where you're going to see the corruption. You're going to see the corruption one other place, and the only place you'll ever see it, and it was the place you're not looking. It's what they had to do to the Portland Trailblazers versus the Los Angeles Lakers. The Los Angeles Lakers can't beat the Portland Trailblazers. No, they cannot. That team could not beat Portland. Portland was destroying everybody that year. After they went to the NBA Finals and lost to the Pistons, the very next year they were destroying everybody. It wasn't even a close. So to do that was the most corrupt officiating anybody has ever seen, probably in finals history. If you could go back and watch any series, go back and watch Portland versus the Los Angeles Lakers in 1991 to get Magic them back to the NBA Finals. They had to put Magic and the Lakers in the NBA Finals. And that, the way they did that was just criminal. That was smooth criminal work. That was probably some of the best screw job they've ever done in their life. Now, with that being done, they got what they wanted. Magic versus Michael. They had the picture already done, matched up Magic and Michael from when they guarded each other. They already printed it out. They sent it to the newspapers. They sent the newspapers the photos that they wanted to put as the cover on the paper. Dick Ebersol said, why are we trusting the media to muck this up? Let's send them the photo that we want on all the covers. They sent the photos to the press and said, print this. They had it ready to go. Magic versus Michael. This is it. The Bulls versus the Lakers. Now this is theater. Dick Ebersol was in charge. He was the NBC's sports commentator from the executive producer, president of sports for NBC from 1991 to 1998. He stepped down and retired. Why would the man step down and retire from that position in 1998? What happened in 1998? Oh, Michael Jordan won his last championship and retired. Guess who didn't want to stick around for what? A life without, a game without Michael Jordan? Dick Ebersol. He didn't want no parts of that. He only cared about Michael Jordan. He stepped down after Jordan got 6 rings. He retired. He was not ready for a life of basketball without Michael Jordan. You're going to learn another secret right here. Never before told, unless you was on my Instagram live today, Magic Johnson got sick in the NBA Finals. Well, everybody talking about, oh, they put Scottie on Magic and nobody ever guarded Magic like that. Scottie guarded him and Scottie shut him down. No. Magic started feeling the effects of what we now know what screwed him up, that hive. That's what screwed Magic up in the middle of them finals. He was getting hit with the hive. He didn't know what was going on. Magic was like, man, he thought it was jet lag, the flight. He got hit with that hive. And since he was hit with the hive, he was like, man, I don't feel so good. Man, I'm going to just play through and play these games out. And he's playing, but he ain't playing like Magic. And everybody giving credit to Scottie. Scottie, lock him down. Look at old Scottie. I'm like, Magic ain't being Magic. So Magic go the whole summer like, man, something's wrong. So he started feeling a little better. Took some medicine. He go overseas. Take his tests or whatever. And they hit him up with the, we might have to take another blood sample. This ain't right. And they had to send Magic home. He was overseas. They had to send him back. They couldn't even let him play. They like, you need to go back home and talk to your LA doctor. Something's wrong. And from that point on, we knew what was going on. But that was the last time Magic played in the league. He had to retire right after that. So why don't they ever incorporate that when they start talking about the Bulls championship? They had no James Worthy. James Worthy wasn't even playing. Who was MVP just 2 years ago in the NBA Finals. Big Game James wasn't there. Magic walking around with the hive. But yet, the Bulls was super dominant. And they destroyed the Lakers. Nah, you be the shadow of the Lakers. Your championship was a farce. So Dick Ebersol put you in this position. Oh, Clyde Drexler next year, they had to make it up to Portland. Because they screwed them so royally. They said, oh, we did Portland wrong. Yeah, we got to put them in the finals because we did them so raw last year. Yeah, let's stick them in the NBA Finals against the Bulls. Drexler versus Jordan. This is it. Now, Clyde Drexler went up against Jordan in the NBA Finals. Everybody wanted to see who was better, Drexler or Jordan. Drexler's better because Drexler's a better shooter. He shoots threes. Michael can't shoot threes. So Michael comes out and hit all these threes. It was great theater. Great theater. All of this is true. Great theater. They win their second championship. They go to the Dream Team. And now it's the Olympic Dream Team. Charles Barkley is probably the most popular out of everybody on the dream team when this is all said and done. Charles completely dominated in the dream team games, even though they wanted to make it like Michael did. He did not. Michael chose his spots. He was Michael. Scotty was Scotty. You know, they did their thing, but Charles Barkley was the standout guy. He was the vocal guy. He was standout. They had those games going against each other. Charles going up against Michael, and Charles was dominating. And they were thinking, who is Michael going to go against next year from the West? Yeah, we got to figure that out. Do we put him in again with Drexler? We just did that. Dick's like, no, we can't do that. We got to think about that. I'm thinking Karl Malone and the Utah Jazz. Yeah, but they don't have the push. They don't have the engine for that right now. Yeah, but let's throw it out there and see what happens. So the Utah Jazz is thrown around as a possible team to play Michael in the third year. Rod Thorne, David Stern, and Dick Ebersol is trying to cram to see what it is and see how the people react. So in the sports basketball magazines, you got Michael versus Karl in the NBA Finals as the favorites. The Utah Jazz are favored. And then they want to see how the public respond. It's no real juice. None at all. So as the season is starting, people are like, this is not good. We're getting ready to start a season. It doesn't look good. We need something now. You know, Charles, man, if Charles Barkley was, as this 76ers team is just terrible. How can we get Charles in the West? And David Stern said, well, let me talk to their general manager and see what I can have. What team are you looking at? He would fit really good in Phoenix. Phoenix needs one player that could really take them off. And I think that's Charles. Let me talk to the general managers. They talked to the general managers and said, look, let's try to get a trade. Get him out of here. Charles don't want to be in Philly anymore. You guys, I know you're tired of getting him. You're not going to get anything for him. Listen, we really want to get this done before the season's what the league wants. And let's just get him on to Phoenix somewhere. That way he's in the West. You don't have to play him that much. You come here once a year, so you don't have to see Charles. But once a year and be done with it. And they're like, great, we don't want him. Can't stand him. So they sent Barkley away. For basically nothing. And the rest is history. Barkley versus Jordan. NBA Finals. It's all theater. So I'm not here going to tell you that that they fixed it so the Bulls can go ahead and win the championship. And, you know, somebody's got to put the ball in the basket. But when teams got to push, they got to push. Phoenix Suns got to push. Jordan and the Bulls, they got a heck of a push. Then the tragic incident where Jordan's father is murdered. Don't forget to hit the like button, people. Oh, poor guy. He wasn't here for the beginning. I'm sorry about that. No, it wasn't theater with us. They didn't want the Detroit Pistons to do what they did. No one wanted the Detroit Pistons to be world champions. They wanted to be world champions, and they made it happen. You should applaud that. What do you think the NBA wanted? Michael Jordan in the finals or the Detroit Pistons in the finals? Which one you think they wanted? They didn't steal the Raiders' image. The Raiders sent them gear. The Raiders, the one said, Al Davis said, look, y'all like us. Here. We the Oakland Raiders of the NBA. The Pistons start wearing Raiders gear to rebel against the NBA. Man, I love that team. That is, everybody in America should be a Piston fan. You should be a Detroit Piston fan for life. They rebelled. I don't care what city you from. Oh my gosh, they got this poor Nickel Boy. Nickel Boy, stop watching highlights. You watch The Last Dance and they got your whole brain scrambled. If you think that's how the Detroit Pistons played basketball, they just beat guys up all the time and they trying to injure everybody. It's not how they played, dude. You don't win NBA championships like that. If that's the case, why are you going to get Detroit Piston players? You got John Edwards, James Buddha Edwards, John Sally, and Dennis Rodman. Why you got them on your team? If we're so detestable, don't forget to hit the like button, baby. We got to get to 100. We should be at 100. We should be over 100 by now. And like I told you, Michael retired. The NBA was not prepared for Michael to retire. They weren't in place. So they were just hoping Mike would just take some months off or maybe a year and then come back. They were hoping that because they're like, I can't do this. It was hard for them to maintain. Grant Hill came in. They made Grant Hill the ambassador of the entire NBA from the moment before he even played a game. They gave him the keys and said, "You're the new Michael Jordan." They already had Shaq. They already had all these players there, but Grant Hill got the keys, and they're like, "We're riding with Grant Hill. He's what we want to represent the NBA, and he just happens to be on the Detroit Pistons." So they decided we're going to end up changing the uniforms. I don't like these Piston uniforms. Let's change them. Let's jazz them up and make them look like stallions and make it all colorful. They wanted to erase the Detroit Pistons out of the history book. Change their logos, change everything about it. Just wipe everything away. Give them a whole new logo. It's just terrible. Tried to erase us. They were terrible. All that teal and loud colors. Yeah, it was fire. They literally had fires coming out of the doggone pistons, out of the tailpipes of the engines with the piston horse on there. Oh, those jerseys was awful and offensive to Detroit Piston fans. I mean, yeah, why would they give it to Scottie Pippen? He's a role player. Look, Scottie Pippen knew he was just what he was. He lucked up and got a lot of money before he was able to get out the league. Um, the rules were changed for Michael. So to make the game more exciting, they thought the game was too physical. The New York Knicks Houston Rockets series was terrible. Dick Ebersol was disgusted with how the NBA Finals was going. The Knicks were just not the team he liked anyway. But they wanted the Knicks to win the title so that when Michael come back, he would have a team he had to vanquish to get back to the championship. He's like, if Michael comes back, he will come back if the Knicks were the champions. I feel that would give him the motivation to want to come back to compete. So the Knicks are in the NBA Finals. They screw it all up and lose the game to the Houston Rockets. Games that they had. And now they're like, the Houston Rockets are the world champions. So how is that going to make Michael want to come back? So Dick Ebersol's losing his mind, and he's mad at David Stern. Like, David, like, what the hell? David Stern's like, look, sometimes the ball goes in the basket. What do you want me to do? The Knicks blew it. I mean, the guy was 2 for 7, 2 for 17 from 3. What do you want me to do? So the Rockets won. They're the champions. The Rockets weren't even supposed to go. It was supposed to be the Phoenix Suns, Charles Barkley in the NBA Finals versus the New York Knicks. That got screwed up. Mario Elie hit a 3 from a corner. Just happened to hit a 3. And Phoenix imploded. A game that they had won. So that year, the Knicks and Phoenix Suns had a fight so violent that you cannot find that game on YouTube or anybody else who has the broadcast. No one has the fight on tape. If they do, the NBA will take it down immediately. Greg Anthony punches Kevin Johnson in the face. Greg Anthony was in street clothes. Guys started punching on him because he was injured. So he didn't play that game. And for some reason, he just takes a swing and punches KJ in the face. And KJ and everybody's fighting. The whole teams are fighting. The security's fighting. They talk about the Malice in the Palace. That game was way worse and dangerous. The thing about the Malice in the Palace is we got to see it. That was internet. I mean, cable television, the way it was a lot different than this. The Phoenix Suns versus the Knicks fight was awful. Greg Anthony got beat up after punching Kevin Johnson so bad he was bleeding all over the place. He's slinging chairs. It was crazy. So now, putting these guys in the NBA Finals, now you got theater. But now you got the Houston Rockets. So Dick Ebersol's like, okay, Patrick Ewing wins. The Knicks win a championship. They're like the villains. This can be fixed. But no. Yep, Greg had a silk shirt on that was all ripped and his lip is hanging halfway off his face, full of blood. He said, I found it. Yeah, they probably going to show you some clips. They ain't going to show you the whole thing. If you find the whole thing, send it to me. The whole thing is on Facebook. Oh, you're going to have to send me that. Because the NBA, I know they took it down. So after the Knicks lose and Houston win, Dick Ebersol's upset because one part of the plan. So at the end of this season, he's thinking about getting out, quitting, stepping down. No Michael Jordan. This is not what I want. The league, the finals had hit a low, beyond low. But now they found lightning in the bottle. They got something amazing happening in Orlando. They got somebody to help Shaq get to the next level. And who could that person be? A guy they drafted out of Memphis called Anthony Hardaway, a.k.a. Penny. I'm gonna have to get some tea. My doggone sinuses bother me again. Penny, baby. Yep, his name was supposed to be pretty. But anyhow, Penny was doing what Penny does. And something happened that was rather unique, something rather different than what everybody else is used to. Right? They're rolling. They got Horace Grant on the team, and that was the last piece they needed. And now they rolling. They got a 3-team. They got actually 4. You got Dennis Scott shooting threes. You got a power forward like Horace Grant. You got Shaq. You got Penny. This is it. This your new young nucleus. This the team everybody likes. They get to the NBA Finals. And they get swept. Dick Ebersol says, I can't do this. I'm done. But the only bright spot, Michael was back. Mike came back in 95. That was the only thing that saved him. He could care less that the ratings were down. Next year, Michael's back, baby. Michael. He said, look, Michael needed help, and we're going to get him the best damn help there is. There was Dennis Rodman is a nightmare. I want him out the league. Dick Ebersol says, the guy that's dating Madonna? You want to throw a guy that's dating Madonna and Tony Braxton and all these celebrities? You want to throw a guy like that out the NBA? If he gets one more tattoo, I want him out. You want to throw that guy out? He's the best thing that ever happened in your league in probably the last 4 years. Put him with Michael Jordan. He's a rock star. He's like, are you crazy? He's like, no. Don't you? This guy's dating Madonna. You don't throw a guy like that out. Dick Ebersol sees the production, the theater. David Stern is seeing the game, fans and family and all that crap. He was stuck in an old age. No tattoos. Make sure your pants is up your waist. He's that guy. Ebersol knows what's going on out here. Dick Ebersol is, look, that guy needs to be with Michael Jordan. Call their management team right now. You make that happen. If anything, they can monitor him. They got Phil Jackson. They got all these guys that can watch him. That's where he needs to be, on the biggest stage. A guy like that, he's a rock star. He was like, you got one rock star in the band. Everyone else is just doing all the work. Michael Jordan is great. He's going to be Michael Jordan. Everything's great. And now you got that one wild card, that one guy in the band who's just all the fans love. He's Slash. I'm like, oh, God. Dick Ebersol saw the numbers. He sees production. Now this is theater. The Bulls are back. They're the hottest ticket in town. They're winning every night. And now, you're Dick Ebersol, you're looking at the numbers. The numbers are through the roof. And they're like, Dick, he's winning Emmys for his work in the NBA, because this is what it is. It's theater. And to tell you the truth, it was better. The game was better back then than it's ever been now. I think they need to hire Dick Ebersol right now and get him back. But right now, the Chicago Bulls need to send Dick Ebersol 6 NBA championship rings, because he's the reason you got 6. After y'all played Utah twice, he realized this was the end. Jordan said he was retiring. He said, yeah, I think it's for good this time, and I'm stepping down too. He quit, because he cannot do this without no Michael Jordan. All of this is facts, people. Facts. Not fan theory. None of it. This is the reality you're not ready for. You're not ready to hear that your game is controlled. I understand that. I know you want to believe it's the best team in the world. And because the way they play the game and all that stuff. Whoever played the best that night won. Okay, let's see. The Knicks fight. See if somebody got it. Oh, it looks like somebody's getting away with putting the Knicks fight up. So don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the page. Don't forget to show love to your boy Carcino hitting up that cash app.
The foul on Rivers for pushing Johnson who says yes, yes, and they're going head to head. Here comes Barkley.
I don't blame Doc Rivers. Who needed that? Totally unnecessary. Kevin Johnson made a great play. And then did he get Bush League? Did he open his mouth and get unnecessarily offensive? That doesn't characterize him. He's usually a class player.
And when Barkley came from behind, collided with Rivers. Let's see how the officials handle this. Rivers was called for the foul for blocking out on Johnson, trying to keep him away from the inbound.
And Doc Rivers, if anything, is a controlled athlete. He plays hard, as Kevin Johnson does. But you'd never see him react like that.
Discussion between FT Rush.
Okay, let's see it. Man, I haven't seen this since 1993.
Now 24 seconds remaining in this first half. So Doc Rivers look to get some words in. Lionel Hollins, one of the assistant coaches, settled it down. 20-second timeout has been called by the Suns. Here's another look at the play.
Boy, if I'm Doc Rivers, I assume I was fouled. But he's unhappy, but then he turns around and he's got this big mouth coming out of him on top of it.
And then Mason got involved. He shoved Johnson. We see Oliver Miller step in. Barkley came from behind. All right, technical fouls.
Whoa. It's getting crazy.